someone tells us clipboard. Clipboard is nothing but, for example, in your home, if you want to buy some grocery, you will write it in a sheet, in a small sheet, and you will stick it somewhere. Like people who are disciplined, they do that. Do I do that? I don't do that. People who are disciplined, what do? They make a small sheet, and they're like, oh, they'll stick it somewhere and say, okay, I have to buy these things in my grocery. Few people, they also put their timetable. For example, exam time plus this. It's like clipboard is nothing but like a small reference sheet where temporarily you write it there so that you don't forget it. Yes or no? Don't we use clipboard in day-to-day lives? Right? It looks something like this, this icon here, like a small, sticky note. It looks like this. In real life, we use that, right? We use that to, like, write down some important facts. If you see our parents, anything they see or figure out, we will be like, okay, we saw this. What do? They first, they take out a sheet and a pen. If you see, they always have a pen and paper in their pocket, or a small book inside which they will note it down. For example, if you give a phone number, even though they have a phone, they first try to note it down in the a sheet, in a small sheet. Why? Is it a permanent thing? No, just to keep a note of it, they will keep it there. It is like a temporary memory. Do we agree? Have we seen that doing being done? The same concept applies for clipboard here. What is clipboard? For example, do I have that? Okay. What did I do? We had our uh, application, right? Work class. Under work class, what did we do? We created a flow, and then we referred to the section. And as part of that section, what all did we have? We had first name, last name, right? Phone number and email, city, stuff like that. Whenever we give these details, provide these details on UI, and we click submit, when we click submit, this, from what we saw that it is getting saved in database. Yesterday, didn't we see that? When you give submit, it is going and getting saved in database. But before it goes, and let's say this is the database, okay, rule base data, rule base db, means in the sense like database, the database where the data is getting saved. So let me call it database to avoid confusion. Okay, and in this database, I do have a work table, right? Work table. What is work table? How was I able to find out what is my work table? On the work class, I did test connectivity. I was able to find my work table. I went inside and I saw that, right? And what was there? I saw that my PYID PYID was getting saved. Yes or no? Also, something which we saw is our PCPV stream. PV stream. All these were columns there, right? Lot of columns. I'm just showing you what are important columns here. Lot of the data also got saved. Uh, and the data was in PCPV stream, which is a blob. Yes or no? Did we see that yesterday? Yes, perfect. So from the application, we thought, okay, it is going and getting saved in this thing. But before it goes there, right, it makes a one stop. What is that stop? It also puts that data on something called as clipboard. This is that sheet where our parents are writing, a small sheet before they go and update the records in their home. They're like, okay, let me note it down here. Like that, Pega also, what it does for a developer to be able to, view this data in his developer portal or Dev Studio, Pega makes sure that it puts this data on the clipboard. Where does it put? There is a page called PY work page. We saw that yesterday, if you remember. We saw the PY work page. What does this have? This has values for whatever things we give. For example, first name, let's say I give Vishwas, right? Vishwas is my first name. Okay, last name Nayak. Okay, age 24. Okay, email. Email is something, let us say, and city Mysore. So if this data is being sent, is being provided in the UI, that gets that gets passed to database, but while going there, it also sits on clipboard. How long? This is a temporary memory. It is a temporary memory. As long as your work object is open, this data is there on clipboard. As long as your work object is open, in the sense till you close that window, the work object window. So can I call this, where's this guy? Okay, can I call this as a work object window? Right, this is a work object window, right? There is work object details here, that's why I call it work object window. Now if I close this, I am closing that window. As long as that was open, that data is available on the clipboard. As soon as I close like this, it is lost. In the sense, the data is not available on clipboard anymore, but it is available in database because we are saving there. What is this clipboard? This is a tool. This is a tool for the developer to, whenever he tries to access or work on a work object or any such information, that data he can see here while it was saved. If you see this diagram, whenever the user provides these details and clicks submit, the data goes and sits in database. While it is traveling to the database, in between it is there like a sticky note. These things went into this side. You can call this as an interface which is between your application and database, where the developers can go and see that value temporarily. Does it make sense? Okay, so why do we need clipboard basically, right? Why do we need a clipboard? Why do we need a clipboard? There is a concept called as debugging in programming. What is debugging? For example, if someone comes up with the issue, let me start a new sheet for you here. If someone comes up with the issue, you should be able to, you know, come on, 8.7, new file, and we call it clipboard. What is clipboard? Clipboard is a debugging tool. It is a debugging tool. What is debugging? For example, if your phone, for example, your mom tells, oh, my phone is not working. So what will you do? You will check, you'll get her phone and you will see if the battery is charged. You'll check if the battery is charged. You will see, okay, if the battery is getting charged, you will see if the network is coming. If the network is coming, you will see if the Wi-Fi is turned on, turned off. These steps which you follow to solve that issue is nothing but debugging. She reported a bug. She told, oh, my phone is not working. That is a bug. When you try to solve it, what do? You debug. Does it make sense? Same way in programming, in Pega, especially when someone reports an issue, what will you do? You want to see what exactly is going there. Yesterday, didn't we go in the database and try to verify? That is how we started debugging. This is a tool which is used for debugging. A user reported, hey, I am trying to provide my username details and everything, but that data is not coming back. So what will you do? You will try to debug it. And this is one tool which you will use. This tool is a tool to to debug, right? We understood that it is a interface, you can say interface between the Pega application and Pega database. Yes or no? Right? It is sitting in between that. It's an interface which is sitting in between that, and it is visually, you can visually go and see. I'll show you how we showing or representing the work object data. Work object data. Do we agree? What all can we do from here? We can also update data from clipboard. For testing purpose, you can use this too. You can also update the data using clipboard. I'll show you how it is done. So work object data usually is found under, very important, work object data is available or found under the PY work page. Very important. All the information about your work object, whatever work object you're working on, will be available on PY work page. The name will be looking like this. Though I wrote it like this, it will be looking like this on your in your clipboard. Did we see that? Yes? No? Yesterday? We'll try to see that today also. We'll show you. So this is how we'll be handling it, and you also saw PYID and stuff like that. So let me show you what exactly it looks like. So how do we debug is what we need to focus on. So let's try to see if we can understand how we can debug using a clipboard, right? Let me refresh this. Okay, and then let's say I want to create a work object. Okay. I opened the flow. I'm trying to run this flow. What I want to do is I want to debug this flow. So let us say, let me open the clipboard here. And what did we say? That data is available under PY workpage. And if you expand the user pages, see, it is showing my work object ID, right? C-6. Yes or no? Now let me expand this and look for PY workpage. Right, let us see where I can find that. If I slightly come down, I should be able to find that PY workpage. Am I able to find that? Now let me click on this thing. See, the PY ID will be populated. That is the thread ID. That is why you are seeing C-6 on the top when we are accessing that. Also on this page, you'll be able to see that PY ID. Let me go a little up. PY ID C-6. Right? This is the PY ID, right? However, these values are blank. Which values? First name, last name, email, all this is blank, right? Gender and all this is blank, right? Let us try to provide some values to this. Like I gave there, Vishwas, Nayak, and I will say Vishwas at gmail.com, ish 24, mail, Bangalore, Karnataka, perfect. So now I will say submit. Perfect. Do we see that data here? Whatever we give, right? So let us see what happens on clipboard. I have opened the clipboard already. So let me go and see. Do I see that data here? Why? Because I have not refreshed it. Though I opened the existing window. If I go and close this and open the new window, I will see the latest values. Because this is already open, I have not refreshed it. That's why I'm not able to see it. So now let me just try to refresh it. Do I see Vishwas, Nayak, Mail? Make sense, guys? Are we able to understand how exactly Clipboard helps us in understanding what values are going in? And I'm using the PY work page to identify those changes. Any confusion here? Do you guys want me to do this again and show you? Very important. Anything you do in Pega will be needing Clipboard. You need to know what is Clipboard all about. All the question, most of the questions they will be asking, you will be going through Clipboard. You should be telling, hey, I'll be using Clipboard to navigate and figure out what exact data is getting passed. Are we able to understand? Yes? No? Okay. Everyone, do you guys want me to show this again? Okay, I think If there is no one saying, I'm assuming that you have understood. Perfect. So now you want it to be repeated. Okay, perfect. So do we understand what a clipboard is to start with? We understood what is a debugging tool, right? We understood for debugging we'll be using this. Now I'll, from wherever we are, I'll just try to go one step ahead and I'll show you. For example, now you know that on that work object the data available is this Vishwas Nayak 24 and these details. Now I want to modify this data through clipboard. Let us see how exactly we can do it, right? There is something called as the edit button. When you try to open the PY work page, there is an edit button. Let me click on that edit button. Now see, you can modify values here. I can change this to, you know, Hyderabad, you know, and then I can say, no, he's not 24, he's 30, he's lying about his age. Let me save this. Did I save this? Now let me come back on UI. What is it showing? What is UI showing? 24, right? So let us see if Actions has a refresh button. Yes, it does have. Let me refresh this. I still see that it is showing this thing, right? 24. Let me close and open this case. I saved it, right? 30. Come on. C6. Okay. So you open this case, come to clipboard. Right? To modify this data, I can use edit and I can say 30 and I can say Chennai. Okay, I can close this and relaunch this guy. Wow. Ideally, it should update this and it should save it. But the idea here is how do we, update this particular work object data, or how do we exactly view what information goes into the work object when you try to create it. Are we able to understand that from a clipboard, how exactly I can see the data when it travels to a database? So one important thing to understand now, let us say my clipboard is closed. Okay. And whenever this work object is open, only then can you access this work object data from clipboard. For example, now when I launch it, you will see C6 popping up there. What is this C6? This is nothing but that thread which we are working on right now. This is the thread we are working on right now. So now, for example, if I let me close this clipboard. Now, when I try to close the case, now, for example, if I'm on this screen and then when I go to clipboard, I won't be able to find that particular work object information. Is it showing me? No. So to understand, the thing is, whenever that particular work object is open and you are working on that, only then you can access that particular work object information from clipboard. Is that clear? For example, I open C5, okay, and then I give here Nikhil, okay, Nikhil at for say it's from Hyderabad. Okay, and I say submit. Now I can go here and I will see C5 popping up here. Yes or no? The, the edit also should work. Not sure what is the issue. I can take a look at that. And you can see that particular data is popping up on clipboard. Yes or no? See, Nikhil's data details are available for me. So this got returned to the database, but while it was going and getting returned to the database, it also keeps that temporary copy in the clipboard. Once you close this, it is gone. Do we understand? This is a temporary memory place where the work object information is available temporarily. As soon as you close the work object here, it is lost from here. See, for example, if I close this and then I go back to the clipboard, see, do you see that vanishing? Yes or no? Perfect. Now let us see the details which we pushed. Is it available in my DB, right? In my database, is this details, are these details available? C5, sorry. Okay, I'm interested in my user information. It just have too many columns. Don't worry about that. Once you start using it, you will know that okay, all this most of the columns are unnecessary and you don't need them. Uh, so we were able to save that. We just want to confirm the data which we pushed has gone into the database. Has it gone? Yes. No. See? Now we know how exactly we can go into database and identify if the data gets saved, right? Like on clipboard, you are able to verify the data was there, as well as in database, you are able to come and verify. Our work objects were C4, C5 and C6 through which we did that operation. Yes or no? Okay, very good. So this is very important. If you understand this right, solving any issue or debugging any issue is very easy. Whenever you get an issue, debugging will be very easy. What you need to know is how to navigate to that work object. Once you know how to create a work object in your application, you know where to go and look for data. Yes or no? Do we agree? Where, how do I know which class should I go and look in? For example, you are given a new application. Now you have to debug. You need to know what is your uh, work table. How will you understand? How will you know which place do you need to go and look inside the database? How will you identify what is that table under which all this work object information is going and sitting? Very good. See, that is what I'm looking from you guys. It's not too fancy information. You have to go into your work object, into your class, do a test connection and identify what is your work class, because all this information is not something everyone is going to provide you. They expect that you know this. Go to your work class, perform test connection, get the table name. Too hard, too challenging? Is there any NASA level of programming you need to understand this thing? No, right? You need to identify what is your work table. Very important. Every piece of information goes and sits there. If you know how to identify a work table, half of the thing is done. You just need to go and query that table. What the heck is there in that? Select star from that particular table, schema dot that table, and then you will know how many work objects are there. You can talk there. You can say, hey, altogether in this application, I only see 6 cases have been created. How do I know? I went to the database and I'm seeing only 6 cases available there. Yes or no? Of course, you will have to do this by yourself to understand and get that level of confidence. How will you know? Once you execute this query, you will see the number of results coming here. Do we agree that we created these 6 cases? In the same way, if you see the other numbers which are being assigned are also getting saved on a database. When you do a select star from the table which is storing the other numbers, where you can find all the details, right? Is it too challenging? It's as simple as that, right? You are going to talk to a database, asking that database show the records which it contains. To do that, we are just using a query and we are doing it. And same thing, we are the ones who we created those work objects from here, right? We ran this flow a number of times, and then we were able to see those details. Every time I run a flow here, a case is getting created. I will have a C7 now, yes or no, and then I can say anything, right? Shushmita, right? And then I can say 25 female, then I'll say submit. Now this details go into clipboard before, while they are going to the database. In between they stand here in the clipboard, they so that the developer gets access to this thing and he is able to view the data to know what exactly went in that particular work object. Sushmita's details are here. She's a female with 25 years of age from Bangalore, right? Same thing should be available here, because as soon as I create that, Pega is going to come and save this thing here. Do I see 7 records? Right? Do you understand this flow? This flow is like pretty common across. You can go to world's any Pega application. This is what they are doing. Creating work objects, and that is getting saved in a certain database, and you have to verify that. Do I see Sushmita here? 25 years of age. Are we able to tie it? User interface, clipboard, database. User interface, clipboard, database. User interface, clipboard, database. That's what is the takeaway from today's class. Do we agree? Perfect. So I'm believing you guys have understood what exactly uh, Clipboard is all about and how exactly you can use it, right? This is a initial level of understanding where how to understand how exactly you can use Clipboard. Very important tool. At the same time, you need to know how exactly can I see all that data from here. From, for example, if I have to look at this information, what all work objects are created, I want to see from my Pega application. I don't want to come to the database. There is also a way there, right? You can come to your, from the Explorer, you can come to your work class. Just click on your work class. Do we see that? Yes or no? Are we seeing the work objects we created? From here, I can click and I can access those work objects. This is Sushmita's case. This is Vishwas case, right? All the data, it is say, how is it coming here? Every time I created a work object, that data went into database and it sat in the PCPV stream in the blob format. Whenever I'm trying to click on it, again it is pulling that data from the database and it is showing here. Do we agree? Now when I open, for example, if I open 4 3 5, now you go to your clipboard and see it is refreshing and it will show you latest data. Right now I'm on C5. That's why I'm seeing C5. If I want, I can go to C7 or C6 and see Vishwas data also. Yes or no? Am I able to navigate and see that? Lot of developers who are like, 8, 8, 9 years experience, they don't understand, they don't know how exactly this works. Okay, very important. This is where you will be showing your, technical skill. How do I debug any issue? I will go and I will verify what is the work class, right? And I will go to the table to which it is mapped. I will try to create a case, or I will see what are the existing cases, open that case, see the clipboard for what values it has, see the database to see what values that has. I'll try to match and compare and see if it is exactly what it is supposed to be. Is it too challenging, guys? No, right? Now you know how exactly you can use a clipboard, right? Perfect. Very good. So that is a takeaway from today's class. Along with that, we'll try to cover something else also, because we do have some time. So if you see on this PY work page, you just don't have your details, right? It's after city, age, country, and then you also see something called as PX application. Yes or no? Something called PX application version PX this thing, and also you have something called as PY rule harness, PY ID. Just notice the initial part PX PY, and then there is a PZ INS key, PZ index count. So these are the three formats in which Pega uses or creates its properties. Very important to know what are PZ, PX, PX, PY, PZ properties or rules. What are these? What are these? So PX is, you know, these are built-in rule. Most of the built-in rules, they start with PX, PY, and PZ. The built-in rules in Pega start with PX, PY, and PZ. PX are read-only sort of properties. These are read-only. Read-only in the sense you can only read from these properties. You can't uh, update it or write any new value to it. However, PY is read, write. You can do read and write for these. And I'll show you how exactly does it make sense. And PZ, it is purely for internal purpose. You can't read or write. What do you mean read or write? Read in the sense to be able to fetch it and do some manipulation on that. Write also means the same. For example, PX, the PX values. For when we created the application, first time we set it. If you see the clipboard page, you will see the PX application name or something like that. Hold on. See the PX application name. It is alpha auto, right? How many times did we modify this? Did this thing change anytime? We just created once. And since then we are just reading it, right? We are just reading it. In the same way, if you see the PYID, is it changing for every work object? In the sense you are able to update it for almost all the work object. Whatever you see as PY is writable. In the sense you can modify that and give a new name. For example, the flow key. If you see, this is timestamp. This timestamp changes every time it is executed. This value GMT is Greenwich Meridian Time. They don't use Indian Standard Time or Eastern Standard Time. They use Greenwich Meridian Time within Pega. What is this? This is a timestamp. Timestamp is the exact time when this particular flow was called is a timestamp. And if you see, it is py. Why? Because it changes every time. Every time you create a work object, the case ID is different, right? Do we agree? But the application name remains same. Yes or no? You just created it once and it is same. Do you understand what is px and py here? What are px properties and py properties? This is how you should be relating it and understanding. Px or py, your py id. We saw py id so many times. It's changing like black and blue, right? Whenever you create a new object, you have a new value, new py id. But that those are the values which you are creating and you are using it in your, application. Yes or no? Right? But if you see the same way, the value which we have been talking about is PV string. What did we say? It is a blob. See, it is a blob. You can't modify it or do anything. This is purely for internal purpose. Whatever start with PZ, Pega creates it to manage it internally. You can't read this or you can't write this. Can you read this data? No. What is binary data? The work object data gets saved as, binary is 0 or 1. 0, 0 and 1 is binary. 0 or 1. 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0. It will be something like this. You won't be able to understand that. That is why it is blob, binary data. See, here it tells character. V is a character, I is a character, S is a character, H is a character, W is a character, A is a character, S is a character. That is why this is character type. But this is blob, binary large object. What is binary? Understand what is binary, you will understand what is a blob all about. If you say define binary in computers, you will see it will tell you this is what binary looks like. Does it make sense? Binary large object, it's a large set of zeros and ones. You can't make sense out of it. That is why PC properties are purely for internal purpose. You can't read or write them. That is why they are called as purely for internal purpose. For example, PZ PV stream property. Did we see all these properties? Perfect. So today's takeaway is, what is Clipboard all about? How exactly can I use it? Where exactly does it come in picture? Whenever a work object is created, your Clipboard comes in picture. For other things also it does, but this is the main purpose of it. And we will see. What is the page on which I can see my work object data? What is the page on which I can see the work object data when I create a work object? Where can I see that? Which Clipboard page? No. Work object data is always on PY work page. Very important. Very important. The work object data is available on PY work page. Whenever you open that particular work object on your user interface, the PY work page will be populated in the clipboard. Did we see that? Yes, right. We saw that, right? That is the takeaway from today. You can provide values on your user interface and you can go and verify that on your clipboard page. This user's first name is Nikhil. I can verify that. I can also go to the database and verify that. Yes or no? Clipboard is an interface which is being created when the data being provided on the application's work object goes to database. There is a interface called Clipboard which gets created, which holds this particular details or data temporarily. How long? As long as that particular tab is open. Yes or no? As soon as we close that, that data vanishes from the clipboard. Did we see that? Yes. It is a debugging tool. I'll be using clipboard to debug information about the work object. Yes or no? To see what all work objects are there, I can do a select star on that particular work class and see what all work objects are there, how many work objects are there, and different columns in that. From the application, I can go to the work class group. This is the class group, right? Which we created. I can click on the class group from the App Explorer and then I can see what all work objects were created. Did we create all these 7 work objects? For example, if this application is supporting Aadhaar application, Aadhaar card for all the users, you can come to that particular work class for Aadhaar and then you can see all the other related cases here, right? Yes or no? Is it clear? Okay. So I think that is it for today. If you guys have any questions, I can answer them. Any questions, guys? Or doubts from yesterday? Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. So PY work page, like the word only tells, it's a work page. What did we say when we defined properties? We saw single value properties, right? For example, first name, it is a single value property. Do we agree? It holds only single value. Same way, last name is a single value. But all these values for Nikhil are being taken under this page. This is a page property, right? PY work page. On this page, for example, what did we say when we were trying to understand properties? We told, okay, these are single value properties, first name, last name, and all. In the same way, if I have to call 10 people in my office, I will have 10 sheets, right? And in on those 10 sheets, every sheet is a page. This is PY work page for C1, PY work page for C2, PY work page for C3. And in that page, multiple single value properties are there. Yes or no? PCPV stream is nothing but what Pega does is Pega wants to, like, encapsulate or make a bundle out of every work object. It makes that bundle. Think of it as a bundle, like a whole bundle of all the data, and it stores it here. What does it do? It needs for its own internal processing. Like we told, PZ properties are purely for Pega's internal purposes. If you want to understand them, we can understand them in detail. But right now, it is too early for you to even, worry about that. Understand that is PY work page is a page which holds multiple single value properties. Is it holding multiple single value properties here? This is a page which belongs to alpha auto hyphen your work class. Under that page, there are multiple single value properties. Does it make sense? Same way, if I go to C7, this is another guy, or C6, this is another page with multiple single value properties and which are different. The PY, the first name property on PY work page of C5 was Nikhil. What is the first name property on PY work page of C6? Vishwas. Is it different? Are these similar to having 10 sheets of 10 different students? And every sheet is being called here as PY work page. Do we agree? And that data for each and every sheet is getting, bundled into a blob in PCPV stream. This is one single property. but the data is being bundled as a blob. What is that blob? That's what we saw. It looks like something like this. If you want to open it, you will see it. We saw the definition, right? Did we see that? See, it looks something like this. Does it make sense to us? No. But Pega internally uses it for some purpose. Too early for you to understand. It's a lesser level topic. But right now, just understand that, you know, whenever we try to create a work object, there is data which sits in clipboard temporarily till that work object tab is open, and then that same thing gets at the same time it is getting saved into the database, and I can go and check that here. And PZ, PV, PX, PY, and PC are the three different types of properties Pega supports. PZ it only uses for its internal purpose. PY is something which gets modified every time, and then it's read and write sort of a property. However, PX is only read sort of a property. Does it make sense, guys? Perfect. Any doubts from yesterday, today? Yes, no? How many of us are attending? Fanish, are you able to get what we are trying to discuss? Okay. Sai, I don't think he's answering. That's okay. So this is what is with respect to clipboard and PX, PY, and PZ properties. That's it for today. If you guys don't have any questions, we can drop off and we can connect tomorrow. Okay. Thank you then. Thanks. Bye.